Rolling.
This is Pedro here with Geek Watch, and I'm here with Jason Charles Miller from Godhead and of various voiceover acting acclaim. So Jason, part of the reason why I really wanted to interview is I'm a big music fan. I love music. And I know you did a list of covers.
Yeah.
Which one was your favorite one to do?
Man, there's so many. It was really fun. I think it's the most fun when I have a guest.
Right.
So I did a Kiss song with Hal Sparks. That was a ton of fun.
That sounds really
Going Blind. That was fun. I always like incorporating. Actually, Jonathan Clark and I did the David Bowie, Bing Crosby version of A Little Drummer Boy
for
Christmas.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So that was probably the most fun, just because it was, holiday spirit and whatnot.
Which one were you the most intimidated to cover? I mean, because I know that you did Eleanor Rigby. That's just one of the ones that, right off the top of my head, I know you did Desire. Like, which one did you feel like you had to lend the most attention to?
Well, you know what? There was a recorded cover of Kiss by Prince that I did for Cleopatra release.
Okay.
And that was kind of challenging because Prince's voice has such a wide range.
Yeah, the falsetto.
Yeah. So that was probably the one I wanted to make sure was the closest one.
Want to pause for a second? You want to do that question again, or?
No, I think that's funny. I like that kind of stuff. Keep it rolling.
So, now, as an artist, what was your main inspiration? I mean, what was the thing that made you, when you were a kid, what was the music that got you to say, that's what I want to do with my life?
I think it was a gradual process, but like my first records were Beatles records and then John Denver records, so that's kind of where I like the rock and country folk kind of comes through. So I think just being exposed to that at an early age, and I started performing at age 5 in front of crowds and whatnot. So I think that when I started singing and saw people's reactions to it, especially as like a 5-year-old, I think I was a really good mimic then. So I could mimic Paul McCartney's voice, I could mimic John Denver's voice, I could like mimic that kind of thing. And so when I saw people's reactions to it, that fueled my fire and got me more excited.
It got you more pumped to do it.
Yeah, and it made me feel like I had a sort of mission in life, what I wanted to do.
That's really cool. I know that you're doing a bit of the country thing now, and I know that you recently did on country. You did the video for that.
Right. Yeah.
And you were in a bunch of different costumes.
Yeah.
How did you feel about being in all those costumes and doing the transitions and stuff like that?
I thought it was really funny. The director, Travis Oates, came up with that idea, and I thought it was brilliant because it's actually sort of reflecting some of the things that I've been dealing with in Nashville. Because I've been coming here. I grew up in Virginia, but for the last 10 years I've lived in Los Angeles. But I've been writing here a lot. We're in Nashville right now. I've been writing in Nashville a lot. I think I was just looking at my calendar. I think I've done 11 trips in the last 2 years. So what I've dealt with being a rocker from LA to them, and by them I mean sort of like the Nashville establishment, is I've gotten a lot of people who don't really get the direction where I'm coming from. The fans do, but like the executives really don't, because they're used to one type of thing selling, very like cookie cutter.
Right.
And then if you do anything outside of the box or come from any other background besides what the background they want to portray, you get a lot of pushback. So that's sort of what that video was about, of just,
the struggle that you're facing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really good. I love that the story. There's like a story behind this,
Yeah, and then it was really fortunate that we got Robert Picardo from Star Trek Voyager to play my manager, which was great. Grant Imahara from MythBusters happened to be in town, so I got him to do a little part in it. So, you know, I always like to add production value to my videos. Like in my last video with Felicia Day, fortunately, was able to be in that.
Well, it's actually really good that you mentioned that, because I was going to ask, how did you get involved with all of them? Because, I mean, to some, they might think that that's a little outside of the ordinary, who aren't familiar with the fact that you've done a ton of voiceover work. I know Felicia Day has. I mean, Grant Imahara runs R2D2. He's the only person licensed to run R2D2. And for a lot of, like, the geeks out there, like, how did you meet up with them? Like, what's the connection there?
The connection is, here's how the connection worked. Ben Moody from Evanescence is a really good friend of mine. He co-founded Evanescence. He's good friends with Zach Ward, who he's a lifelong actor. Like he was the bully in A Christmas Story.
Yes, I do remember him.
And he was the star of this movie called Battle Planet. He helped get me a small role in the movie Battle Planet. The director was Greg Aronowitz, who does all the production design for the Guild. So when Felicia wanted to do a new song and music video after Do You Want to Take My Avatar, they wanted to do another one. So Greg recommended me, and I met the whole Guild crew that way. And then Felicia and I, and Sandeep, and a couple of guys from my team wrote Game On, and I produced Game On, and you know, that's how the relationship started. And then since then, I've actually been in 2 episodes of the Guild, which is really cool. So in season 5, I'm in 2 episodes, playing myself, which is kind of funny because they're at a convention.
Right.
And then I was also the music editor for Dragon Age Redemption, which Felicia wrote and starred in and produced. And so I played guitar, I played bass, and I sang on the soundtrack.
That is really awesome. I mean, as a fan of the Guild, like, it's...
Oh, I was a fan of the Guild before I knew any of them, so
yeah.
I was a bona fide fan. So to be a fan, and then to get to be involved in it, and then to get to be in it, that's like the ultimate for any fan.
Now, are you a gamer? Like,
yeah, I totally am. I definitely had a huge World of Warcraft addiction for a while, and then, you know, I've been a voice actor for about 9 years now, and my agent sent this thing, an audition came for World of Warcraft for the role of a narrator that was like 70 years old. She's like, "Do you think you can do this voice?" I said, yes. You know, I knew that I couldn't, because in the world of voiceover, I mean, yeah, we can all imitate to a certain extent, but if they want a 70-year-old narrator, they're going to get a 70-year-old man to do it. It's just going to sound more authentic. But I went to the audition anyway because I wanted to meet the people involved, and I let them know what a fan of the game that I was. And so then later, when the next expansion came out, then I was able to audition for all the other roles that I got, like Prince Valinar, Commander Stoutbeard, and then in Cataclysm, Tarath the Steady, and Haggard Hopebreaker. So,
so what class and what faction were you part of? Like, what did you play?
I played a DPS warrior, Night Elf, so Alliance, believe it or not. Even though most people look at me and think Horde. I'm even wearing a Horde t-shirt right now. You know, I mean, I love the Horde, I'm a fan of the Horde. I just for some reason, started off as, how's it going? Started off as a Night Elf. I thought it'd be cool, and then I just started, I had 2 things going. I had a warrior, undead warrior on one server, and then I had a Night Elf warrior on another. And the server with the undead warrior, it was when you had to wait, when there was a queue.
Oh, the queue, yeah.
So I got more and more frustrated that I couldn't play that guy, and I had to wait. I'm like, why am I waiting? You know, that was back when there were a few, you know, the game was expanding so fast, it didn't have enough servers to hold it.
I remember when the server, like, the wait was like sometimes a half hour, 45 minutes, and you're like, really? I have a raid in like 25 minutes that I need to get to, and like...
Yeah. So instead I started playing my Night Elf guy, I got him to level 80 and was raiding on that, did all the Lich King raids, but then that's when I quit.
Yeah, actually it's funny you say that. That's right around the time that I quit. My friends kept bringing me back, but same thing happened. It was 80, did some raiding, I was like, you know what, this is too much time. But it's really cool that you're able to go from playing the game and then basically the guild is just an inspiration of that. Is inspired from the guild, from World of Warcraft.
Right.
And it's just so awesome that you got to, be involved in every aspect of it. That's so cool. So now I know that you've done some, movie work and some voiceover work. Your latest role, I don't remember the movie off the top of my head, but I know you're playing a priest.
Oh yeah, that role. I was talking to you about that. That movie's still in development, so I think they're still waiting to get everything together for that. But I can't wait to play the priest.
Yeah, that's
definitely
really cool. And just the part, like I saw that, and I was just like, wow, how do you feel about the opportunity? Because that's kind of
it's funny. As an actor, I often get calls for a certain type of role, which is usually my commercial agent will call and say, okay, we've got this role for you, and you're breaking into someone's house, or we've got an audition for you, and you're robbing a store. I know that I'm a certain type. I get it. If you want me to rob a store on camera, I will rob a store. I will, mug somebody, whatever. Those roles need to be played, and I'm more than happy to play those roles because I know when people see me walking down the street, they may think that that's what I'm going to do to them. So if I can sell that on camera, that's great. But anytime I have an opportunity to play something outside of that, I think it's fun to just, like in Battle Planet, when I got to play a space marine, basically the leader of a squadron. That was great.
So, is there anything that you have upcoming that you're really looking forward to, like when it comes out, and what do you have in development that you can't wait for the fans to see or hear?
Well, mainly, I've been working, and there's some great stuff that, like a non-disclosure agreement. There's great stuff coming out that I can't even talk about, which is really annoying, but I totally understand. But recently, I have been given permission to say that I'm in Guild Wars 2. I've been working on Guild Wars 2 for the last year and a half.
Really?
As a pretty main character, so I'm really excited when that comes out because I think that'll I had quite a few lines, let's put it that way. So I've got more coming, and there's more recording, and so yeah, I'm really excited about Guild Wars 2. There's a few more that I've done that I'm not allowed to talk about, and I even got a phone call about it on Wednesday. That hey, this is coming out this and that date, but you can't talk about it because you're going to be in this other section. And I'm like, all right, so that's always frustrating. But mainly with games, with films, there's
IMDb's out.
Yeah, when it's out, it's out. But yeah, Guild Wars 2, I'm excited about that.
That's really cool. I was a fan of the first game. I didn't play into it as much, but did you play a lot of the first game? Since we're talking about it, or
Guild Wars,
yeah,
a little bit, and I liked the aspect where you could switch servers. Like if your friend was playing on this server, you could just pop into that one. I really thought that was a cool feature, but yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna play Guild Wars 2.
Oh boy. Well, I think a lot more people I know are gonna play Guild Wars 2 because they know you're involved in it. Because I know a lot of people who love your stuff, and I mean,
cool.
I know one of my friends. When I told him that I was coming here and I was going to try to get an interview with you, he said, "Oh well, mention Avatar: The Last Airbender because I know you were involved with that."
I was. What was really cool about that show was I ended up doing 6 episodes of it, playing a lot of different characters, which was cool. So my range was tested in that one. But what was really great was in a particular episode, they actually animated a version of me and put me in the show.
That's
like instead of this tattoo, it was a snake because it takes place in more past time. It was a snake wrapped around my arm instead. But I mean, full on, they put me in the show, and I got to interact with Aang, and that's pretty awesome.
That is really cool. So who's your favorite character from from the show. Is it your character? Or
Oh yeah, me. Come on.
I just figured I'd ask, just in case.
Whose name officially is Scary Prisoner. That's his name. Scary
Was this
Prisoner.
the Prison Break episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you mentioned all that, it just kind of clicked in my head exactly which episode it was. So that's, and then that was such a great, that's one of my favorite episodes with Sokka and Zuko, and I'm a fan.
Cool.
But I really appreciate you letting me, sit down and talk to you and do this interview. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. So thank you very much.
That's what I'm here for. The video a bit, but
yeah, on Country, it's a great video. So were you part of that?
He co-wrote the song.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to get in on this or?
No.
Okay.
But you need to.
Oh, we'll bring him in for. I'll bring him in for a second.
No, you just need to say my name.
Okay, I will. No problem.
Just make sure you mention
Yeah.
that I'm here.
Right.
An amazing songwriter from that.
I'm giving you a lot of love in the press.
Oh, yeah.
No. All right.
Well, I'll be sure to mention you.
All right.
I'll get your full name, put you in the article.
I'll get
Social security number, address.
mother's maiden. It's all good.
The important stuff.
Right.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
So you have the album that came out not too long ago. Can you tell us more about the album? Let us know exactly what's going on. What place you were, like the inspiration for the album.
Yeah. Well, so the album is also called Uncountry,
Right.
like the first single, and we were talking a little bit earlier about coming to Nashville a lot. So there's really two sides of me, musically. Two main sides of me. One is, let's let her finish your phone call. Hey, how's it going? I like that outfit.
Thank you. It's actually falling apart.
Dude with the camera, what are you doing?
What is that?
Sally Jupiter from Watchmen. I forgot my glove at home though. My mom
Looks
has
good.
to bring it.
Looks good.
That is pretty
job.
good.
Thank you. It's falling apart though. Like I'm hoping it'll hold up till the Geek Slam and costume contest.
All right.
Otherwise,
Only hope.
I'm kind of screwed.
She's interactive here.
When she first walked over, she was, I was like, what are you doing, camera guy? Get that.
It's interactive. It's interactive.
It's an ever-changing interview.
So anyway, so my new album is called Uncountry, like this single. And like I was saying, there's really two sides of me. I grew up with listening to rock and listening to country, and Godhead is still me. It's still a huge part of my life. It is me. But one of the things that that inspired me in general to do more roots-based country music was when Godhead did a tour. We were at the end of '07, opening for Jonathan Davis of Korn. It was more of an acoustic tour, and we had just put out an acoustic EP, and it really. And it really it just launched all these ideas and feelings in my head, because Godhead is so electronic based and industrial based. I mean, yes, there's heavy guitars, and yes, there's a lot of metal elements, but there's a lot of electronic elements too. And so that sent me on sort of a journey of rediscovery. And another thing that I thought of was when I started to do solo music, I want to show that other side of me. I don't want to be like a lot of typical people that are like, I'm doing a solo record and it sounds just like my band. I really wanted to show that other side, and so that's really what Uncountry is about, because you'll never really be able to take the rock out of me, so those elements are always going to be there. But the idea of telling more stories, being a little more literal, really taking the listener down a path a little less ambiguously. With Godhead, a lot of my lyrics are ambiguous. You can apply your own thoughts to what it's about. Whereas on Country, a lot of these songs are you'll know exactly what they're about, and it's just really just a journey of songwriting, but yet still it's funny because a lot of the subjects are the same. I'm never going to escape the the heartache songs and the sort of like living with guilt songs and things like that, which is sort of a collection of the same kind of thing that Godhead deals with.
Right, and I mean,
but just told in a different way.
It's funny how you talk about like the two sides of you, because there's so much more to music, and people often forget like that music is this ever-changing aspect. Like it's an ever-changing part of the person. And, like you go from one side to the other, and you said you wanted to show your roots. Like, what were some of the country artists that you really loved growing up that you feel like you kind of lend your hand, like kind of give an homage to when you do this album?
You know, it almost goes without saying, and I forget to even mention it sometimes because it's so ingrained in me, but of course Johnny Cash. But everyone says Johnny Cash.
Right.
Another big hero of mine is Merle Haggard, Chris Christopherson. I love Willie Nelson, even George Jones. You won't necessarily hear directly that in my music, but it's definitely there.
Right.
It's definitely an influence. Another thing about this album too is with Godhead, it was always the same 3 or 4 guys writing together as a team. Always, we hardly ever brought in any outside writers. A few exceptions. Ben Moody from Evanescence was one of the records. But you know, on this.
Hey.
On this album, I actually have I think there's 4 or 5 songs that I wrote myself, but then the other 5 are with a lot of Nashville writers in LA. Like the title track, "Nine Country," I wrote with my friend Randall Clay. There's also a song called "You Must Have Loved Me a Lot" that I wrote with Toby Keith's band leader Chuck Goff. You know, so the sort of then there's another song that I co-wrote with a very established Nashville songwriter by the name of Chris Burgess, and then a new country songwriter on the scene from Australia named Phil Barton and I. So there's this interesting dichotomy of you know, what songs I picked that I wrote myself, what songs I picked that, you know, really sort of encapsulate the direction that I'm going and the influences of different writers that I'm writing with now.
That's a pretty wide gamut of people to work with.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that's how, like, you know, I know that you worked with all these people, and when you worked with them, was it a completely different mindset than when you go in with Dothead? I know you said that it was, you know, 4 guys writing together, but with this, it was just you and someone else, and you're pairing off. Like,
yeah, it's a completely different way of writing in the Nashville style of we're going to meet at 10:30 and we're going to write until 2:30, and hopefully we'll have a song by then, or most of the song, or a verse and a chorus. Whereas with Godhead, we would set aside months of time to just start writing. We're going to start on this idea, and if this idea sucks, we're just throwing it out. And we wouldn't even really complete a song unless we felt like it was going down the right path. Whereas in Nashville, I think there's this almost like a pressure of, we've got this 4-hour block or this 3-hour block. We're going to finish this song no matter what. You know, we're here to write. Whereas in a band situation, there's not as much pressure. You can take a whole day, you can take a week, you can take a month to write one song. But you know each other so well that there's that, you know, that familiarity to where you know it's going to get done.
right. Do you feel at all any kind of, like, how do you feel that people on the Nashville scene react to you more? I'm not just talking about the execs. I mean, like, I know that you mentioned that you worked with the band leader from Toby Keith, and that you worked with Randall Clay. I mean, how's the reaction from, like, other country artists?
Well, here, other country artists have been really supportive. Guys like Randy Houser have, you know, given me a lot of props. Big Kenny from Big and Rich has said a lot of nice, kind words. But the fans, especially, like recently with my solo stuff, I've opened for Toby Keith, Eric Church, Justin Moore, Gary Allan, and one of the things that I noticed right away opening for all of those guys was that their fans were accepted the music right off the bat. You know, their fans were really receptive to it. And what that shows to me is that there's kind of a disconnect between what the fans want and what I think the establishment, the executives think that they want.
Right.
You know, because I'm certainly by no stretch of the imagination your typical country artist, but yet a country fan that's there to see Toby Keith is still very open to listening to something like me. So I think that the fans aren't getting enough credit. You know, they're like we're as music fans as we all are, we can like one. You know, we can like more than one genre of music and styles within that genre. You know, that I think it would be great if the powers that be, so to speak, were a little more open to that.
So, I mean, it's great that the fans accept it, because I think as a musician that I mean, I know that there's that aspect where you're doing it to you know, get paid and stuff like that, but a lot of it you do for the fans, and it's great that the fans, like, you know, appreciate what you're putting out there because of all the hard work that, you know, you and, you know, your writing teams put into it, you know, and that's just great. And so, moving forward, like, how much, you know, how much more do you want to do with this? Is this just something that you're always going to be doing, and this is like a very important part to you?
Absolutely. It's something I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I mean, I can't stop. You know, I think when you're a creator in whatever genre you're in, or whatever field you're in, I think you're always going to create. It's just going to spring forth. So, you know, and I think that we're all people that are of creative minds. I think will always be inspired by things that they see every day. So yeah, I mean, in whatever capacity I can continue to be in the entertainment business, I'm going to continue to do that. But music is what started me, and music is what's always going to be at the forefront of what I'm doing.
Okay, I have just like a fun little question for you.
Sure.
Where's the lobby from here?
The lobby's that way.
This way?
Or actually, you can go. Yeah, you can go that way too.
Thanks.
No, through that door, back.
Right,
That,
that's
there.
the weight room.
Back here, back here. No, back here. This
There's a
door.
door right there.
Yeah,
This door. Thank you.
You got it.
There we go. Here's the elevator.
I think we should keep all this.
We're just gonna edit that part out.
Well, I'm going to talk to my
Yeah, you just go from with the question.
He might be okay with it. I don't want to step on.
All right.
I don't want to say who's going to see that later. Who's someone that you really look forward to working with, regardless of genre? Who's someone that you say, that's someone I could see myself sitting down and writing with?
Well, I've been trying to write with Chris Christopherson for a couple of years. I know that's kind of crazy and lofty, but you know, shoot for the stars, right?
Exactly.
Might end up in the moon, or whatever they say. Might land on the moon. Yeah, I don't know. Or you at least end up in space. So, no, I mean, I would love to work with some of my heroes growing up. I mean, you know, I had the fortune with Godhead of going on tour with Ozzy and actually, you know, becoming friends with Ozzy and his family and hanging out at the house and you know, I didn't get to write with Ozzy, but just being Ozzy's friend. I mean, from when I skipped school in, you know, in 10th grade to camp out for his tickets to hanging out with him on his couch, I think that's pretty awesome. So
that is more than pretty awesome. I mean, that's what everybody wants to do, you know, is like meet their idol and find that they're cool enough to, you know, sit on a couch.
to hang out, yeah.
So, well, I'm really glad that you took the time out to talk about your new album, and, you know, we're going to give it a listen, and we're going to, you know, post something about it, because I think that it's so great that you stretch yourself from one genre to the other, and now knowing more of the story behind it. And I just hope that more people see how, you know, what you're doing with it, and that's awesome. I love the fact that you're doing it.
Cool.
So, thank you very much.
All right. Thanks a lot.